God'll get you for that one.
Maude is owned by Shout Factory.
God'll Get You for That, Walter is produced for entertainment purposes only.
Sponsored in part by Findlay's Friendly Appliances. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter.
But not this week.
But not this week.
Not this week.
My name is Tom Catt, and I am joined by my fabulous co-host, the delicious Miss Toni Homeperm.
That's I.
That's you.
Me?
I with a Tony with an I.
Tony with an I.
And welcome to God'll Get You for That, Walter, a podcast where we discuss the 70s hit sitcom Maude. You love impersonating me, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I live.
And today is episode 40. We're recording episode 40.
Yes,
our episode 40. Look at us doing the thing.
I know. And our YouTube channel is now
at 100 subscribers.
Over 100.
Over 100 subscribers. Look at us.
We have it's now YouTube / God'll Get You for That, Walter.
God'll Get You for That, Walter. Look at us. Look at the good we do.
I tell you.
Is it God'll Get You for That, Walter, or GG?
It wouldn't let me do letters.
It wouldn't let you do the letters? It had to be? Okay.
God'll Get You for That, Walter.
Well, then, so
that's
be it.
what it is.
So be it. That's
I can only fight YouTube and Google so much.
Get it? So be it.
So be it.
Be Arthur it.
So be it.
I don't get paid enough.
You certainly don't.
Today we're going over season 2, episode 16, entitled Maude's Guest. It originally aired January 8th, 1974, and it had one guest star who makes a recurring appearance as the same character in a later episode. And it is Tamu Blackwell playing Francie Potter.
Yes. Not Porter.
Not Porter. Potter. It was directed by Hal Cooper and written by Alan J. Levitt, who also wrote, I think, another... who wrote a Florida episode, I believe. It was the, didn't he write...
Was it Florida's Affair?
I think it was Florida's Affair. I think it was Florida's Affair. So, let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
So, we open in the kitchen. Carol is frying chicken.
Gonna fry a chicken.
Gonna fry a chicken. Before you even get into it, I do want to do a disclaimer. There are a lot of... cringy moments in this episode. Would you say that there were a lot of cringy moments in this episode?
Yes, but I understand where they were coming from.
Yes. It was a very of the times episode.
Yes. I mean, when we get into it, I mean, it was done to sort of point out racial stereotypes.
Yes, racial stereotypes and racial strife.
Yes. It wasn't trying to present those things in a good way.
Yes.
So, but still sort of cringy, but honest.
Very honest.
You have to say that.
Very honest.
And
one of the things that Norman Lear did was he made very honest sitcom.
It was honest.
So
but Carol is frying up chicken
poorly.
Yes.
She's dropping her skillet. She's burning herself.
Yes.
Florida enters saying, honey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And she's like, Florida, I've burned my hands. The chicken's greasy. And Florida, in true to form fashion, says, well, honey, it's a good thing you don't have to worry about that because when men ask you what's cooking, they don't want to know what's for dinner.
That's true. Fortunately, I mean, not only, am I, quite attractive, but also a good cook. So
that is true. You are a good cook. I will give you that when you.
Yes, I only get a good cook. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anytime. It's what you pay me for. It's absolutely what you pay me for. So Carol calls herself a rotten cook.
Yes.
And she offers Florida a piece of fried chicken.
Yes.
And Florida says, well, looks like fried chicken, smells like fried chicken, and she takes a little taste of it, and she just doesn't knowing, Carol turns to her and goes, well, what do you think? And Florida says, well, just as I thought, Colonel Sanders.
Yep.
Was that what they used to say years ago? It wouldn't say you'd go for KFC, you'd go for the Colonel?
Back then, there was the term KFC did not exist.
Really?
It was Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It was Kentucky
Fried Chicken. It was years later, I don't remember if it was in the 80s or the 90s. That they rebranded as KFC. So
I think it was the 90s. I'm pretty sure it was the 90s.
I think it was the 90s, yes. But back then, we were in 74, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I also, to this day, still have the character mugs that they released one year, because they did a series of Looney Tunes mugs.
Oh, did they?
Where they had Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote.
Oh.
I'm trying to. I think they also had Tasmanian Devil and Tweety Bird, and they were these really like beautiful mugs that were very, very beautifully painted that looked like the character. And I think it was during the Space Jam craze.
Could be.
It wasn't. Could be. It was.
I remember during this time, a very popular commercial was the Kentucky Fried Chicken song, which was written by Barry Manilow.
Wow.
Yes, he did a lot of jingles.
Okay.
But that was one of his most famous. Get a bucket of chicken, finger licking good. You never heard that?
Never heard it.
Yes, you can find it.
I'm sure we can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a thing that we can find.
Yes, he did a lot of. He did those. He did McDonald's. He did a lot of jingles. He made a lot of money.
I'm sure he did.
Doing jingles.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So.
And in bathhouses, he was performing with Bette Midler years ago.
That's right. On the piano.
On the piano.
He was performing on the piano.
Performing on the piano.
So, so Florida makes a comment about doing all this work for a little girl from the ghetto. In the ghetto.
Yeah.
Elvis song.
Yeah. I loved when his daughter not re-recorded it, but covered that song.
Oh, really?
She did a beautiful job reprising that song. Not reprising, covering that song.
Nobody really uses the term ghetto anymore.
No.
I've never heard
No.
ghetto, which I guess is a good thing.
You want to know? So, when we moved out to the island from Brooklyn, and even before that, like, my parents would say, "Oh, don't go to Dumbo, it's a bad neighborhood."
To where?
Dumbo.
I don't know where that
Dumbo,
is.
Brooklyn.
I never even heard of it.
It's very close to where I think, George Washington Bridge is. No, not George Washington.
No. Because the George Washington Bridge crosses from Jersey into
that's
the
Jersey.
Bronx.
That's Jersey to the Bronx. I think it's the Manhattan Bridge then.
Okay, could be.
Where, like, Dumbo, Brooklyn is really close to the water.
Okay.
But...
Is that near Williamsburg?
No, not near Williamsburg.
Okay.
Dumbo's closer to, like, East New York.
East New York.
Maybe on the lower end of things.
I'd have to look at a map.
Geographical soundness, people. Geographical soundness.
I don't know.
But like you would say, you wouldn't go to these neighborhoods because they're bad neighborhoods.
Okay.
And when they say bad neighborhoods, they mean that there's a high crime rate and that there's also a specific demographic that lives there.
Okay. All right. Well, yep.
Like that, it would be called a bad neighborhood. It wouldn't be called a ghetto.
A ghetto.
At least that's how the term has evolved.
That's how they would say it.
That's how my parents would say it.
Okay. So, Maude, I believe, comes in at that point and tells Florida to stop jiving with Carol.
Yep.
Reminded me of the movie Airplane, where Mrs. Cleaver is like, "Excuse me, stewardess, but I speak jive."
Yes! Oh my God, that was such a brilliant scene. Wasn't it? It wasn't a nun that was doing it, was it?
The nun was playing the guitar.
The nun was playing the guitar.
Yes.
That was too funny. That's such a funny movie.
Which, of course, starred Leslie Nielsen. Who ended up, being, in the last two episodes.
In the last two episodes of The Golden Girls became...
Starred Bea Arthur.
See
how everything... I see how I tie that in?
Everything.
Damn, I'm good.
All roads lead to Beatrice Arthur.
All roads lead to B.
All the loads lead to Ree. That's
okay.
My dyslexia is in full force.
I'm here for it.
So Maude calls to Florida, and Florida's like, she's starting to sound like Chubby Checker.
Yes,
which I thought was hysterical. I've always wanted to hear like Chubby Checker and Mom's Mabley. Because, when I was growing up, I used to love George Carlin. Mm-hmm. I used to love listening to, comedians that were irreverent and just like brilliant comedians. And I always thought that Chubby Checker and Mom's Mabley were two of the...
Chubby Checker was a singer.
Chubby Checker was a singer?
Yeah.
Why did I think he was a comedian?
No, he was a singer. He did the twist. Who are you thinking of?
I have no idea who I'm thinking of.
My brain's gone. Not a comedian.
So Chubby Checker. Oh, right. The Chubby Checker's a gas. Wow. My brain is completely and totally fried.
Oh my lord.
So Chubby Checker was a singer.
Yes.
Mom's Mabley was a comedian.
She was a comedian.
She was a comedian. Why did I think Chubby Checker was a comedian?
I don't know. Who are you thinking of?
Maybe I'm thinking of Richard Pryor. No, I would know Richard Pryor.
You should. But if you're thinking of an irreverent black comedian, then Richard Pryor would fit the bill.
Would fit the bill.
He would certainly fit the bill. Maybe that's who you were thinking of.
Maybe that's what I was thinking
But
of.
you got it twisted.
I hate you.
And
welcome to the last episode of God Will Get You for That Bullshit, ladies and
Again?
gentlemen.
Not again.
They're all the last episode.
Not again.
So
Maude got all these things.
Maude got all of these things for decorations.
For the little girl, for the decorations.
And she got an Isaac Hayes poster.
Isaac Hayes poster, yes.
An Isaac Hayes
that
poster.
Shaft is one bad mother.
Shut your mouth. See,
I'm
I'm still there, sort of.
Yes. Yeah, she did not want to get her the John Denver.
Because unfortunately he's white.
He's white.
And Florida gave one of my favorite lines in the episode.
Uh-huh.
She turns to Maude and goes, "Poor devil."
Poor devil.
You want to know why do you know why I laughed at that?
Why?
Because John Denver did the
God movies.
Oh God,
yes.
Part 2,
Yeah.
Oh God, You Devil.
Yes, yes.
With George Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Another comedian I would like. See, that's why I thought Chubby Checker was a comedian.
Okay.
That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
You're on a Rocky Mountain high. So Maude is saying, she said something about how wonderful it is that the little girl is coming, and there'll be these.
I have written down minority child.
Oh, minority child. Yes, because it was something about the sprinkling of
little black faces like flowers.
Yes.
And then Florida goes upstairs. Yeah, that's how I felt about me.
Yeah.
A lonely little petunia in an onion patch.
Right. And then Walter comes in.
So, yes, Florida goes upstairs. Walter comes in and ravishes Maude, grabs her from behind and says, "Hello, baby."
Yes.
And Maude turns around and says...
something about the energy crisis.
She mentions the energy crisis and then asks if he's getting oil from the Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
Which was... Who did we get oil from years ago?
The Middle East. Yeah.
I have a silly question. Maybe you know the answer to
I might not. Ask away.
Why do people think that the president controls the gas prices?
I don't know. It's very interesting.
Where did this come from?
I don't know. See, what people really don't realize is that corporate America is controlling so much of our day-to-day lives. And the thing is, the elected officials are in their pockets and doing what, their main corporate sponsors are telling them to do.
Yes.
More so than the people that are voting them into office.
Yes.
But, people they don't want to delve into the truth of, reality.
It's easier to blame somebody.
Yeah, it's easier to blame somebody. It's easier to blame somebody.
I think it honestly started when Obama took office.
Yeah, probably.
I want to say that.
I
I truly believe that.
I really think it goes even further back. I remember when Jimmy Carter was in office.
Really?
And he towards the end of his term, he was just so vilified. That's why Reagan got elected. Because of there was so much negativity towards the Carter administration towards the end of Carter's term.
And now you hear all of these stories about Jimmy Carter, and you hear that he was this great president.
He's a wonderful person.
From what I understand, he was a very good president. And from what I understand, Reagan is not the greatest president.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. I don't know if being a good, it's difficult to be a good president and be a good person.
That's fair.
I really do think so.
Yeah, you can't be one or the other.
Yes. The only one for me who embodied both was President Obama.
Okay.
As a good person and
a good president.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there were don't get me wrong. There were definite flaws when it came to
always
Obama.
Always. I mean, nobody's perfect.
No one's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. you know, we were all gung-ho to get Biden into office, but there were a lot of things that Biden said he was going to do, which
he hasn't done yet.
Crickets are chirping. Why do we still have to have student loans?
I have no idea, but I do think that a lot of it has to do with Manchin and Sinema, who are the two Democrats who will refuse to vote on the Build Back Better bill.
Right. So there's a lot of that.
I do feel like that is a problem. And, you know, it was funny. That was honestly one of his talking points when it came to...
what are they? Democrats? Republicrats? You know,
Dixiecrats?
Republicans.
Is that how far back we're going?
Republicans disguised as Democrats, or something like that.
Well, I mean, there's also that wonderful term called Rhino, where it's Republican in name only. Maybe they're Democrats in name only. Dino.
Yeah.
Or Dino.
Dino. Yes, like Dean Martin.
Oh, we're joking about politics as the world's burning. It's fine.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
Oh.
So that was our little tangent.
So Philip comes down from downstairs,
and he's mad.
He wants to know who stole his record player.
Grandma, who stole my record player?
Mm-hmm.
So cute.
Yes.
Such a darling little brat.
And no one stole it. Maude put it in the guest room.
Yep.
For their minority child guest.
Yep.
And she's trying to explain to Philip that, this is about learning and understanding. They're going to learn.
So it'll build a better world.
Build a better world, yes.
Was what Francie Potter enrolled in a thing during the set? Like, was it a big thing during the 70s?
I remember, a thing called the Fresh Air Fund, where, kids that lived in cities, during the summertime, they could go to some place that was rural or something.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was, if you research and you look into it, I think a lot of what was going on was these inner city kids were getting sent to farms and places like that and being used as free labor.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, child labor.
That's exquisite.
Yeah, so
that's a fun time.
I think a lot of that was going on. So yeah, wonderful, right?
Yeah,
the kids didn't have it bad enough.
Yeah.
So now that under the guise of you're gonna go someplace where there's fresh air and sunshine and all this goodness, and they're
gonna muck the stalls.
They're gonna mucking stalls and degrading jobs and things like that.
It's a great thing those child labor laws were put into place.
Yeah, and weren't even getting paid.
Of course they weren't, because that's what? Slave labor. You know what else is slave labor, kids? Presents.
True.
Presents.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's a topic for a much bigger platform.
Yep.
We'll get there soon enough, kids.
We will. So Maude tells Philip, he asks him if he knows what the north wind does.
I loved that line. What doth the north wind do? Blow?
Blow.
Right, Philip. Blow.
Blow.
So that was Maude's way of basically...
And she tells him to go help his mother in the kitchen.
Blot her greasy chicken.
Blot her greasy chicken.
I love it.
And Walter is telling Maude that she's pushing
being pushy. She's being pushy.
She's being pushy.
And Maude's
typical
me
Maude.
Push?
But she says she can handle anything.
And then the doorbell rings.
And she's here. Francie Porter.
Florida.
Francie Potter.
Carol. Walter. Walter was standing right in front of her.
Yes.
And Walter's like, Maude, stop being so unemotional.
Mm-hmm.
So she opens the door. Maude runs to the door, opens the door.
And there's Francie.
And Maude's like, you must be. And Francie cuts her up by saying, Little Black Riding Hood.
Little Black Riding Hood. Now, the actress who played her, Tamu Blackwell, this was the first thing she had ever done. We were looking at IMDb.
We were looking at her filmography.
Yes, but she also did a very famous movie called Claudine with Diane Carroll and James Earl Jones. She was on what was it?
Good Times.
Good Times. The Jeffersons.
She was in a number of
things.
70s
yes. and
sitcoms and shows.
Worked as an assistant director.
James at 16.
James at 16, which I was telling you.
You were telling me about was a very modern take on teenage life.
Yes, and they actually as the series progressed, it turned into James at 17. You know, because as the point, I guess if it had gone further, it would have been James at 18.
James at
But
19.
it never progressed past James at 17.
Because it was very controversial.
Yes, it was.
It was very controversial.
Very controversial show.
I actually have a question for you.
Yes, and I'm sure I have an answer.
They are redoing the Wonder Years, but they're doing the Wonder Years through the lens of a black family.
Yeah, isn't it already on?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
I haven't had an opportunity to watch it, but I'm fascinated by it.
You know, my husband hates sitcoms. He can't. He just can't
Really?
stand sitcoms. I used to watch sitcoms all the time, and I don't remember the last time I watched a sitcom. I think this last sitcom I used to watch was Big Bang Theory.
The last sitcom I watched was Mom.
Mom.
With
Oh,
Amy
okay.
Farris.
Okay, yes,
And,
yes.
Oh, God, why can't I think of her name? She would... When me and my mother actually had a conversation, and she said the perfect Maude, in my opinion, would be the actress that plays Amy Farris's mom. Why? She was on The West Wing. Oh, my girlfriend Kristen would kill me. Allison Janney.
Oh, yes, yes.
Allison Janney.
Okay.
You know, the only sitcom I watch, I'll watch currently is actually the Golden
Girls.
Because my DVR is set. It just whenever it comes on, it's set to tape.
Literally, I put on Hulu. I'll hit whatever episode I feel like listening to, and I will just pass out. I will go to sleep watching the girls.
Yes.
Oh, that, and of course, Are You Being Served?
And of course, Are You Being Served?
Those are the only two.
I mean, Golden Girls and obviously Maude. And
Yeah.
So Golden Girls, Maude, and Are You Being Served? That's it for us in the Good Times department.
That's it. Sorry, folks. Don't go any further than that. So Francie says here she is, Little Black Riding Hood.
Yep. And she calls her co-op. And Marcus, I think was her brother Marcus,
Probably.
or was it another tenant?
I don't know. Probably her mother. Probably her brother. She got to call the mother to let her know that she got there okay.
Yep.
And Maude tells her that they're having fried chicken for dinner, and
She said, "Good, I'll win a buck."
she wins because she bet somebody that
She bet her brother
that
she bet her brother that they would have fried chicken.
serving fried chicken.
The first thing off.
So she tells Carol to, under her breath,
Maude says, God, "For God's sake, Carol, go into the kitchen and throw out the grits."
Oh,
Have you ever had grits?
Nope.
It's sort of like
Southern polenta.
yes, exactly. Yes, it's kind of like polenta. I don't think I've ever had grits.
Neither have I.
so
But I've had polenta.
I've had polenta. Yeah.
but I've never had grits.
And it's funny. Polenta comes from the north in Italy.
Yes. Ba-dum-bump. So Maude calls down, or Florida comes down.
Florida comes down and Maude's like, "This is my best friend ever.
Yes.
My best friend in the entire universe." And Florida says, "Yeah, I'm the maid."
I'm the maid. And Francie gets real sassy with Florida. She says, "Well, now, hi, Auntie."
Yeah, she called her auntie.
Yeah, and referencing
Aunt Jemima.
Aunt Jemima, the pancake lady. So now it's only just this last year that they got rid of Aunt Jemima, that they rebranded it, right? What is it called now?
I think it's just, I don't know what the hell it's called.
But it's not Aunt Jemima
It's not
anymore.
Aunt Jemima anymore. I think it's called Log Cabin Pancakes or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like Log Cabin
Well,
Warehouse.
Log Cabin was another brand.
Yeah, Log Cabin was another brand.
It was another brand. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what
now.
they called it now.
I don't know what.
But I have such a problem because my family feels that it is the black community that wanted Aunt Jemima taken off the market. That's not the case. The family, it was the same thing that happened years ago with, I think, another, oh God, I remember reading about, not Uncle Ben's, it was a different server. It was a black chef, and it was a very big name, and I don't know what it was, but they decided to change it, and I have such a problem when my family thinks that black people are doing reverse racism with that. It frustrates the ever-loving crap out of me. And I have so many opinions. It is not the black community making these decisions. It is corporate that is making all of these decisions.
Corporate's making the decisions. I mean,
there was an M&M commercial yesterday, and it was the brown M&M, the brown M&M talking to the red and yellow M&Ms, and the brown M&M is voiced by Vanessa Williams.
Okay.
And it was about fudge M&Ms. And my sister was like, the black people don't have a problem with that? And I'm like, where am I? Why would you say that? Where is the correlation
between fudge
and black people?
Yeah.
It's just I was ready to throw something when I heard my family say throw something.
Okay, now we're gonna go off on a tangent, but I have heard so many different stories about the Aunt Jemima brand. I've heard that there was a real Aunt Jemima.
There was.
And I've also heard that there wasn't a real Aunt Jemima, that she was just someone that
a caricature.
They hired to play the character.
Oh, wait. No, I think the second one is right.
That they just...
It was a real Aunt Jemima, but it was a caricature. Because, that was very big in the 30s and 40s. To sort of have these, these sort of characters to, market for something.
Right.
And the family that... not the family that inspired, the family that owns the Aunt Jemima brand didn't want to give up the likeness. I don't know why there was this big thing that was like, oh, well, the black community doesn't want this representation because it's a negative stereotype of black people. Now, I want to preface this. We are two very white, the color of raw chicken.
You can't get any whiter than us.
You can't get any whiter than us. So basically, how we're viewing this is through a relatively liberal lens.
Yes.
And I don't think that either of us feel that what is happening is wrong. I mean, when I say wrong, I feel that the Aunt Jemima brand should still be Aunt Jemima. I don't think that there's any type of negative stereotype behind it.
I mean, I don't
study it.
I don't know. I haven't studied it, and not being a person of color, it's not my place to say.
Yeah.
So it's not for me to comment, really. But the thing is, it's like it just seems like the story is so convoluted. It's like it's like was there a real Aunt Jemima that if there was a real Aunt Jemima and she was like treated fairly and made money, that would be a great thing. But then I've also heard that it wasn't a real person, that they just hired this woman to portray Aunt Jemima, and she wasn't really paid well or anything like that. I mean, it's a very confusing story.
In 1889, I'm reading from the History Checks. The History Checks.
Okay.
In 1889, Aunt Jemima crossed from the footlights to the grocery store, where she's been a fixture for 131 years.
Right.
On the eve of her departure, we give you the dark history of this American icon and the stories of a few women who made her come alive. So Aunt Jemima was a real woman, but she was also portrayed by
other women hired to play Aunt Jemima.
Some people even think that the Mammy character of stage, screen, and marketing campaign is an accurate portrayal of a family servant. Some people are very, very wrong. Oh, well, that's cute. Slave in a Box, the strange career of Aunt Jemima, the Jemima Code, Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, and Rastus. Blacks in Advertising, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. These are all books. Yeah, going over the history of the minstrel show.
Yeah, I mean,
we're getting into some very dodgy territory.
Yeah, that whole thing of like those Aunt Jemima type products, it's still very cringy.
Yes,
it's very cringy. I mean, I don't know. I use Bisquick for my pancakes. I just avoid it all together. But it's a very strange area.
It's a very gray area.
It's just.
But the important thing to say here is that corporations make the decisions.
And you know what else, as far as the Aunt Jemima brand, because like when I was a kid, she looked very much like a quote mammy character, but then they started changing the image. Then she became like a thinner black woman. I think the last representation they had of her, she was like a thinner black woman with like more of a modern hairdo. They also deliberately lightened her complexion. Yeah. They were trying to make her look sort of gender neutral, like as if she could sort of be African American. She could maybe be a little Latino. It was just such a weird
ethnically
ambiguous.
Ethnically androgynous.
Ethnically ambiguous.
Thank you. Try saying that.
She wasn't ethnically androgynous because she was definitely portrayed by a woman.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Being portrayed as a woman, but yes, definitely ethnically ambiguous. But it's just such a weird thing. But Francie,
called her pancake
lady, and then called her fat mama.
Yeah, she did say that, didn't she?
She
said, actually, "Hey, fat mama, what are you doing with my luggage?"
Yeah.
And Florida turns around and says, "You call me fat mama, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with your luggage."
That's right.
So, they go upstairs and...
Then there's a little discourse between Florida and Francie.
She called the room the Harlem Hilton.
The Harlem Hilton, yes.
The Harlem Hilton.
She hates it. She doesn't know why she had to come there. It was her mother's idea.
But then we find out that Francie's mother
had the same idea
that
as Maude. Yes,
had the same idea that Maude did.
Yes, to learn, have some learning and understanding, make the world a better place. And, Francie's like,
she's 52 and nobody will take her.
She says, why can't she go and live with one of these women? But she says she's 52. No one will take her.
No one will take her.
I know how she feels.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
And Florida tells her that the Findlays are a nice family. And Francie says she don't like living with honkies.
Like living with honkies.
Yes.
Preface. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as reverse racism.
Yeah.
That's all.
She said that she had done the same thing like the year before. She had an 8-day vacation with this white family for them to relieve their 200 years of guilt.
Their guilt, yep. Yes. 200 years of their guilt.
Yep.
And, Maude, more often than not, tries to be this white savior to black individuals. And, this episode really shines a spotlight on that. Like we can obviously take when Maude meets Florida into consideration. That's also an episode where we see Maude being this sort of white savior.
Yes.
But then you also have this episode where, again, Maude being a white savior, it just becomes like a focal point. Yes. There was actually a TikTok that I shared. Like I shared a clip of Maude on TikTok. And there was one woman who said this woman is racist. Like Maude was a very racist character. And, it really sort of made me question a lot of things because I'm watching and I'm like, by today's standards, I don't think Maude would be considered a racist. I think that she would be a very ignorant, misguided liberal.
Yes.
Because that was actually joked about in this episode where I think even Maude said, like, you probably lived with these people that were misguided liberals and they tried too hard. She is also a misguided liberal trying too hard.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I think that was Norman Lear's whole point.
Yes. Norman Lear enjoyed pointing out the hypocrisy of the liberal and Republican, liberal and conservative.
Yeah, mindset. That was the whole irony of it. That Maude herself was a whatever it was, she described it as a misguided liberal.
Misguided liberal. Poor misguided liberals trying too hard.
Trying too hard. That look in the mirror, Maude.
Correct.
So she says, so Maude comes in and she sees they're having a bull session. Yes.
And as Florida leaves, she goes, a lot of bull, but not much session.
No. So Maude and Francie are having a conversation.
She starts off by saying, wow, that Florida's really a nerd.
She's a nerd, yeah. Yes, thank you, Happy Days.
When did that become a problem term?
Is it a problem term?
I don't think it is.
It's not a problem term. No, it's just...
I think it just describes a class of people.
It's just...
Specifically a
dork. Well, yeah.
Nerd, dork, geek, dweeb.
Yeah.
They all sort of fall into that same category.
Yeah. I mean, but it really was Happy Days that started...
Made nerd in vogue.
Thing. Yes. That's where it came from. And and my mother always said to me, she said, we didn't have the word nerd back then. She's like, that's a made up word.
Yes.
So
another word that has like sort of fallen out of grace is jerk.
Has it?
I don't think it has been years since I've heard anybody refer to somebody as a jerk.
What about chicken?
I haven't heard that one. No, been a minute since I've heard that one.
Chicken?
God, I hate you. God, I hate you.
Jerk chicken. It's a very delicious dish.
So I've been told. But I'm like, I hear all of these words and I'm like, them ain't the words I'm hearing now.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. Like,
no.
They're far more.
Everything is the F word now.
Everything is the F word, or the C word, or the P word.
Yes, it's like, yes. Don't you know the meaning of propriety?
Propriety? Now, C etiquette. One day I'll learn that whole line.
Yes.
One day I'll learn that whole line.
Conforming to social norms. C etiquette. And she says, Francie, tell me about yourself. And she's telling her she wants to be her friend.
Yep.
Yes.
And Francie just doesn't want to have any part of it.
Yeah, and Maude's telling her we want you here. And Francie says she already saved one white family last summer.
So
it was something about Maude saying you're trying to rip me on.
Yes, Maude said I don't want you to think that I'm ripping you on.
And she's like, it's ripping me off.
Yes.
And
Francie just, I think, gets up and starts.
She's trying to leave.
She's trying to get out of there. And
yes.
Maude's like, nobody learns to like me in 5 minutes,
right.
but I want you to try.
Right. And Francie says, what's it worth to you?
And Maude is taken aback.
Yes.
Taken aback.
Yeah.
Taken all the way aback.
All the way.
That she gives her $20.
That she says, well, I've got $20 in my purse.
To which Francie exclaims, $20? Mom, I'm home! And then we have a commercial.
We have the break.
We have a commercial.
And then we come back. Maude and Vivian are coming in the house with some shopping.
With some groceries and some shopping apparatus.
And the music is blasting when they walk in. And
3 days. 3 days,
It's
Maude
been
said.
3 days?
3 days. Francie has blossomed like a flower.
The house is decorated for Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Hearts all over the place.
Yep. A lot of red hearts all over the joint.
Walter and Francie are fighting.
Yes, they are. And they are. It is not a fun fight.
No.
So Walter says, you better turn that off, you little twerp. I'm trying to work.
Right.
And again, another word that you don't hear very often these days. Twerp.
No.
So before she slams the door, Francie says, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to holler rape.
Yes.
Which...
very cringy.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Kind of, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That was cringy.
Yeah.
But, that was the
thing. So Vivian turns to Maude and goes, well, she certainly acts like one of the family. Slams the door like a true Findlay.
Yeah, she sounds like a Findlay.
Maude's line to Vivian would deeply offend me.
What did she say again?
She said, "Don't look up, Vivian. We can see your don't look up like that. Your scars from your facelift are showing."
Yes.
How catty!
I loved it.
I would say something like that to you. I loved it.
I would say it to you
as
well.
You would.
We need to save it for that. We need to use that on that queen who lives in Queens.
Stop it!
What are we worried about? She doesn't listen
to our
show.
She doesn't listen to our show anymore. It's fine.
So Walter says that Francie told him to go sing the blues
to the big
white whale. Yes.
And Maude's like, sure, big white whale. Well, that's a lovely expression. Yeah. And Walter says she was talking about you. And then I think Vivian just smiles so smugly at her.
Yes.
And
she leaves at that point.
Yeah,
she's going to go get Arthur.
Yes, because I think Vivian said something and Maude shot her a glare.
Yeah.
And then Vivian's just like, I'm just going to go over next door and get Arthur.
Yes. And then
Walter gives a little speech where it's we're trying so hard to be amiable with this young person, and she's making life not great.
Right.
And he goes on to this long speech. I literally have Walter's speech. I don't have the whole speech in there.
Yes.
But it ends with him questioning Maude. He'd swear that he thought that she bribed her to stay.
Yes. But one of my favorite lines was Maude saying, "That's lovely, Walter. Next time you give a speech like that, I'll record it so I can accidentally erase it." And that was when I think Walter said, like, it almost seems like you bribed her. So she's like, "Walter, that is an absolutely despicable thing to say. How dare you accuse me of bribing?"
Yes.
She goes into the kitchen, and Florida's like, how much did it cost you?
How much did you give her?
And Maude says, $20 and shut up.
Yeah. And Florida tells her, along with all this love and compassion, you need to slip a little hate in there.
Open your heart and slip a little hate in there.
Yes. And Maude is saying, she has to be right. She has to be right.
She doesn't want want Carol or Walter to be right.
That's right. Or to think she's wrong.
Or to think
worse
she's wrong.
for her to them think she's wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think at that point, Maude goes outside.
She goes
Maude
back out
exits
to the
back to the
dining
kitchen,
room.
back to the dining room.
And she's calling Franny.
She's calling Franny, but also I think her and Walter are like engaging in another argument.
Yes.
That's when Carol enters.
Well, Walter was telling Maude that she has to be herself.
Yes. Because for the last couple of days,
she's not been herself.
Maude is being a white savior, and she's using her white guilt as sort of her shield right now.
He says like they're having their annual Valentine's Day party.
And how often do they have a Valentine's Day
party?
They've
never had one.
They've had one where it's like, and Maude's like, well, we've exchanged cards, we give each other a little gift, and then, we spend some quality time with each other, and Walter's like, well, yes, but usually it's upstairs.
Yeah.
Maude screams, that's a technicality! So, at that point, I think Carol comes in, and she goes,
like,
how's the fight going? And Maude's like, what are you talking about? And Carol's like, I just saw the birds fly off the roof. And that was when Maude took her aside and says, and to think, I wanted a natural childbirth.
I picked natural childbirth.
So I could see you sooner.
Yes.
Because I couldn't wait to see you.
Because he couldn't wait to see her. Then Maude goes into this little discussion about Franny. Francie.
Potter.
I can't get Potter, Franny, Francie.
Franny Porter, Francie Potter.
Francie.
That's where we're at, friends.
Francie. She's saying that Francie,
Actually, I also want to point out, Maude also had that same problem earlier in the episode.
Which problem?
When Francie went over to the phone and Maude accidentally said Porter. And Francie corrected her saying, it's Potter.
Yes.
So then Maude says, well, Potter, the important thing is you're here.
You're here.
Right on?
Right
I was
on.
waiting for her to, raise her fist in the air. I was waiting for that, but I don't think Norman would have appreciated that.
So Maude is going on about how they have to show love to Francie. That she's really soft-hearted, but she has this hard shell.
Yeah.
And is it?
Walter said it sounds like she's a crab meat dinner.
Yes. Sounds like she's a crab. Unfortunately, I can't eat crab anymore.
I'm so sorry.
Because of my gout.
I'm terribly. That's tragic.
It is.
It does. I am Italian.
No.
We all know this. And, for Christmas dinner, we usually do, the seven fishes, where we have, all of this fish prepared. And, I enjoy crab cakes, but they never do nothing for me. Lobster tails, they do nothing for me.
Really?
I love bacala.
So do I.
Love cod.
Yes.
My mother,
that I can eat.
My mother makes cod cakes, and they're so good.
I can eat the cod. Yes, cod isn't a problem.
It's just the
shellfish. I'm not supposed to eat.
You can't even eat scallops?
Well, if I can eat them, but it's got to be a very, very small amount.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because of my gout.
Because of the gout.
Otherwise.
Don't get old, children.
Don't get old. A drag queen that can't get her foot into a stiletto pump is a sad thing.
That is not fun.
I'm thinking there should be a sort of like a Sarah McLachlan commercial for
Didn't they do some? They did something like that on Drag Race.
They just did, yes.
They just did.
Yes,
it was oh my god.
Yes, they need to. There are drag queens who cannot get their feet into a platform stiletto pump.
Unbelievable.
But for only 50 cents a day.
50 cents a day. You too can adopt a drag queen.
You too can adopt a drag queen.
Unbelievable. Do less.
So Arthur and Vivian come in, and Arthur's got a cutout of a ballerina. I think that was the card he got Vivian, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Here's to your tutu.
Yes.
Or something about tutus.
Yes, there was something about tutus. And Maude telling him he's a pain in the tutu.
Yes, she did. She called him a pain in the tutu.
Pain in the tutu. Then Florida brings in some snacks.
Yup.
And Maude,
I think at that point Maude calls up to Francie saying, the guests are here.
She tells Carol to go get Philip, and she's gonna get Francie.
Gonna go get Francie.
So she's calling Francie.
And Francie calls back, give me one good reason why I should come down there.
And she says, I'll give you.
Maude says, I've got five good reasons right here in my
Yes.
hand.
Yes.
And then, like, you know, Vivian, Arthur, Walter, they all look at her, and she's like, that's just black ghetto talk. It means I love you.
Yes. And Arthur says he's like, it doesn't seem like you're not. It seems like you're not doing well.
They call her an experiment. They called Francie an experiment a number of times.
Did they?
That really bothered me.
Yeah.
It really bothered me that they would call Francie an experiment. But I mean, given the time, watching it with you and discussing it, I have a newfound appreciation for the episode. Because for the longest time, I thought it was just a very... all things considered, it is a good episode. That does not mean that it is not without its faults.
Correct.
As with many of the episodes that we've discussed in God to Get You for That, Walter. Like, there are a lot of good episodes. That doesn't mean that those episodes are without their faults.
Right. Well, one of the things about this episode that you point out the flaws of everyone around Francie. Yeah. Except for Florida, none of them were really trying to see Francie as, you know, a real person.
True. Very true.
You know, Maude, even though wanting to be the white savior, specifically, was not seeing Francie as a real, you know, as a fully realized human being. She was seeing her as this
poor black child.
Black child from the ghetto.
From the ghetto.
You know.
So it makes sense, and it only, you know, becomes more apparent as the episode progresses.
Yes, as we get to the climax.
As we get to the climax.
So Francie comes down. Maude said something about her having a smile that lights up a room,
and she's just looking,
scowling.
She's scowling at everybody.
Yes, and Maude introduces
Arthur and Vivian. Arthur actually gives Maude a Valentine's Day card.
He has a gift from Maude.
And the card reads something about surrounded by the beauty of nature. It means I'm in Moose Country.
Yeah, Moose Country.
And everybody was laughing. And even you saw Francie who had this big smile on her face.
Yes.
Because everybody loves poking fun at B.
Yes. So Maude has a card for Francie.
Yes.
Which she wants her to read aloud.
Yep.
And she goes through reading that card like...
something. That's literally all I remember.
She read that card so fast. And Maude even exclaims, so beautiful and so fast. And she's Francie says she's gonna make up for not.
Actually, that was when after she read that, and Maude said that was read so fast. Francie said, "Yeah, just like a real person."
Oh yeah,
that was when Francie said that.
Yes.
So Francie, in a moment of we think sweetness. We're led to believe that it's sweetness. She says, "I want to read a card just from my heart."
She's made up. She didn't get them one, but she's made up one for everyone.
And Maude gives her the floor. And
yes.
Francie says, "For your card so sweet and gooey, all I can say is one big phooey."
Yeah.
And you know,
it's very like I don't know. It didn't seem like genuine coming from Francie to say something like that.
No, it didn't. And I was expecting something with a little bit more vitriol,
more sass.
Yeah,
even that was like that was too white
Alan
bread.
J. Levitt, you didn't do a good job on that poem. Try harder next time.
That one sort of fell so flat. But then again, maybe Francie was. Maybe we could look at it as her saying like, "Well, you would probably expect me to say something like, you know, jive turkey or something like that. So let me throw out something that would be more stereotypical whitey or something like that.
Make it more honky.
More honky. We say that with like quotes.
With air quotes.
With air quotes. So Maude says she now knows how the
Valentine's Day massacre
started.
happened.
Yes. And now we get into the real...
Yeah, we get into the real nasty part of this. And
nastiness.
you know, Francie goes on to this little performance.
Yeah.
And it's... The way that I interpreted it was that Francie was portraying what everybody assumed she was going to be like.
Yes.
And
Francie was saying, well, you think of me as this.
Yep.
So fine. Let me show you what that is. That's what you think of me. I'll show you that.
Yep.
That's really what it was. And it's cringy.
Yeah.
It's cringy, but it was real. It was very honest. And I think, I know you've said like, oh, you felt it was such a cringy
I
episode.
did. I felt like it was such a cringy episode.
But really, you've got to like look at it that like here was this, this little African American girl who's, feeling that, they're not seeing her as a real person. They're seeing her as a stereotype.
Yep.
And she turned it around on them. It's like, oh, you think I'm like this stereotype?
Then here it is.
I'll show you. I'll show you what a stereotype is. So I think, that was pretty
honest,
pretty daring for them to do.
Very daring.
In the episode. Daring. Because she starts saying, like basically, well, you think I'm a gorilla, right? But the thing is, and even to this day, there are people that will, call people that are
there were
African-American.
There were a lot of white Republicans that called
There was
Obama.
That woman who did that to Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Thankfully she lost her job and position because of that. But it's something that still happens today.
Yeah.
Which is it's horrible. It's horrible. So Francie starts doing this performance like she's a gorilla.
Yep.
And she's grabbing
special delivery from the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
And of course, while Francie is doing this, Maude is like, I'm not going to lose my temper.
Yeah.
You're not going to get my goat.
Which we know means that she's just about to.
Yep.
And she starts dancing on the table.
She says, we got rhythm, right?
Right.
She goes, I got rhythm, I got music.
Yeah.
She starts dancing on the table, and that's when Maude finally screams, time!
Yep.
I just lost my temper.
Yep. And it's, I wrote it, she then gives her 200 years of guilt speech.
You've just done away with 200 years of guilt in 2 minutes flat.
Right.
So we finally have Maude being...
Maude. Being her
real genuine self with Francie.
Yeah.
I think she starts with, I know that life has not been easy for you.
Right.
And, Francie gets up to leave and she says, you sit your butt down.
Yeah.
And, goes on this really emotional
Yes.
rant.
It was real.
It was a real rant.
moment. And, she says she admits she's made mistakes.
Yep.
But that she cared for Francie.
Yep. Everyone. She even said everyone cared about you. Everyone cared for you.
Yeah.
So I think towards the end of the speech she says, "So grab your things. So get upstairs and grab your things and get out."
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, you can freeze your little butt till it turns blue.
Right.
And of course, Maude, acted with a little bit more emotion, and she started to get a little misty-eyed, and her voice cracked a few times toward the end.
Yes. And Francie runs upstairs.
Yep, Francie runs upstairs, and Walter went over to Maude and put his hand on her shoulder.
Yeah, he said, I'm sorry, and Maude is like, she tells Walter that he was right, that she needed to be herself.
Yep.
And I think Maude went into the kitchen.
Well, that was when Maude said, "That's the first time I've been real with that child."
Yes, which it was.
And I think at that point, Francie comes downstairs and races into the kitchen.
Yes.
And, she forces the door open, and Walter's like, now what?
Mm-hmm.
So Maude's like, I'll handle this.
Right.
So Maude goes into the kitchen and, has a really sweet moment with Francie.
Yes.
Because, Francie finally admits that she was also wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, Maude's like, you're making it very difficult for me to leave you in the condition you came in.
Mm-hmm.
Which, sweet.
Yeah, and Francie tells her, she sounds like her own mother.
Yes.
And she says that, if she's really going to be a member of the family, then she's going to
because she had taken all their cards and
and threw them all over the place.
So
She threw all the cards all over the place. She got a banana, for the quote unquote little gorilla.
Yes, so she's gonna she says if she's gonna be a member of the family, like Maude says she is, then she'll
be treated like a member of the family.
She's gonna pull her own weight, and she'll clean up her own mess.
So she even says, "Could you get out of here and let me get it together?" And then Maude goes to the door, and Francie stops her and says, "Wait, here's your money back, damn it."
Oh, but Maude also said that they've both been nerds. Such nerds.
Yeah. So it was a very touching moment between the two of them.
Yes. And Francie gives Maude some money back.
Some money back, not all of it.
Yeah.
And Francie goes outside. She takes a dustpan and a broom that Maude handed her. And Maude goes to count the money, and it's 5, 10. That was it.
Yeah.
So Francie kept $10.
Yeah.
So then we have the epilogue. The epilogue has Maude, on the phone with Francie. Very sweet of you to call. Thank you for calling. It's great to hear from you.
Yes.
And then they'll talk later. So
Maude
hangs up the phone, turns to Florida, and says, it's only been 2 days, and I really miss her.
Yes.
I really miss her.
And Florida says she misses that sauce box.
Sass
box.
Sass pot.
Sass pot?
Sass pot.
I thought it was sass box.
Nope. Sass pot.
Sass pot?
Sass pot.
Sass pot. 2. Okay. Well, Florida misses her too. And Maude's going on about, isn't it so wonderful, the miracles that can be accomplished with kindness and all that.
Yeah.
And Florida gets she gets the last line for a change.
Yeah. And she says, in 2 years, look what I accomplished with you. Isn't it something we've gone over, and Florida was with the Findlays for 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
I think, let's see, this is episode, 16?
Of the second season.
We're only a couple of episodes away from the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And I think Florida's goodbye is, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6 episodes away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we're 6 episodes away. And then in comes Mrs. Naugatuck.
Right.
But we got a ways to go before that. One of my favorite episodes is next, actually. It's called The Wallet. But we'll
get to that next
tomorrow.
week.
We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for enjoying this episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter. If you would like to follow us, you can on all forms of social media. You can on Facebook at God'll Get You for That, Walter. On YouTube at God'll Get You for That, Walter. On Instagram at Findlay's Friendly Appliances. If you would like to follow me, you can at That Tomcat on all forms of social media. That's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere That Tomcat. Where can they find you?
Toni Homeperm, and that's Toni with an I, and of course that's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's
TikTok.
Oh, and TikTok. How could I forget TikTok?
How could you forget TikTok?
Tick.
I hate you. Some of my friends call it the Clock app.
The Clock app.
There's nothing for me. But thank you so much for listening, and you will hear us again on another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter. Night, guys.
Bye-bye.